Welcome everyone to Talent Experience Live, your weekly look at everything that you need to know in talent acquisition, in recruiting, in talent evolution, in human resources, in all things HR. And I'm excited to have you here Thursday. This is a very special show. We like to say here, or people like to say around these parts, that this is the greatest show on the internet. And yes, of course, I am people. I am the one saying that, but no one's argued against me, so I'm going to continue to say it until somebody does. I am your host, Devin Foster. We come to you live every single Thursday at noon Eastern time. So be sure to log in. As we say, Talent Experience Live is proudly brought to you by the good folks here at Phenom, whose purpose is, of course, to help 1 billion people find the right job. Of course, that is not a typo. It is 1 billion. That is lots of zeros. And it's something that wakes us up every morning, that gets us motivated for all of those meetings on our calendar and helps us continue to push forward towards that purpose. How do we do this? I thought you'd never ask. We do this through our intelligent talent experience platform that helps candidates find the right fit faster, employees evolve into their current roles, and beyond, recruiters achieve some next level productivity. That's what we're talking about this season. It's all about recruiter efficiency. And of course, managers. Where would we be without them? A lot of people are doing their yearly reviews right now. What Phenom does is help them build better teams with data, analytics, and of course, automation. And you can't have automation without artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is what our intelligent talent experience platform is built on. So head on over to phenom.com if you'd like to hear more. I know you do. So go ahead. If you're watching us on LinkedIn or wherever it may be, you don't even have to type in phenom.com. There are plenty of links on our socials. Today is a special episode. We are recapping the past month of guests that we have had chatting all around recruiter efficiency. So we are going to give you a highlight reel, a clip show, if you will. All of these episodes are already live. They've already been on LinkedIn. They are on our YouTube. So head on over to those places. If you'd like to watch more, we also have fantastic blog recaps on all of them on our blog, which is, of course, phenom.com/blog. So definitely check them out if you would like to hear more from any of these thought leaders. Special thing for today that we are doing, we are 48 days away from Phenom's annual conference. I Am Phenom. We took a brief hiatus there. There were some world events. We couldn't seem to put it on, but it is back and better than ever. And today, we're running a special promotion. I demanded at my marketing meeting that we start to incorporate some giveaways into the Talent Experience Live show. And they said, Devin, why don't you use I Am Phenom? Why don't you start to give away tickets? I said, I'd love that. This is like a late night show. I'm the next Jimmy Fallon. I'm the next Jay Leno. Not really, but you get where I'm going with this. So today, to encourage some comments, some questions, some thought-provoking banter back and forth in the comments section. If you comment, you are entered to win not 1 ticket, but 2 tickets to I Am Phenom coming up March 28th through 30th. If you haven't heard of it, where have you been? Living under a rock? I'm only kidding. We do have a nice little promo that we'd like to help build up some of the buzz, hopefully get the comments flowing in the comments section. Without any further hesitation, let's run the clip. No matter how you do it, you just gotta keep go. Keep it moving. Looks like a good time, right? I see Michelle chimes in the comment section. She is excited, as am I, of the Phenom experience. I see Kat chiming into the comment section as well. Congratulations, you have entered. Let's keep these comments rolling through. Sally already has a ticket. Sally, don't worry, you can enter. You can give them to your closest friends, colleagues, loved one, whoever you like. We are excited about that. Now, it is tradition around these parts to, of course, start things off with an icebreaker. And remember, if you answer the icebreaker, you get a chance to win some I Am Phenom tickets as well. So my question is, who, of course, is going to win the big game this Sunday? For those of you who don't know, Phenom is based out of the booming metropolis right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in Ambler. So a lot of folks around the office are rooting for the Birds. I know we do have some folks who are fans of Kansas City Chili as well, who are rooting for the Chiefs. So let me know who you think is going to win this season. And if you feel so obligated, let me know if you're most excited for the Rihanna concert, the commercials, or the game itself. As we get into today's episode, I see Renee is rooting for Kansas City. I hope it's a good game. I just hope both teams have fun, Renee. I'm a Jets fan, so I am miserable by trait. But today's episode of Talent Experience Live is not about the big game or the Super Bowl. It is, of course, about recruiter efficiency. And over the past month, we have had some amazing guests. We had Circle K join us. We had SASR, and they were weighing in on how their teams could be more efficient. It seems the world is getting more and more fast-paced every single week. It feels like yesterday was week 1 of the NFL season, and now we are at the epitome of the season, which of course is the big game. I see a lot of people are cheering for the Eagles, as well as a Vikings fan chiming in. Welcome to the program. I won't mention that to any Eagles fans around here. I feel some type of way about that, but back to the topic at hand. We are going to jump in and talk about everything from AI scheduling today to video assessments, and also how to tackle high volume hiring challenges and streamline workflows to have a more productive talent acquisition and recruitment teams. And we're going to start off with our first episode, which was, I believe, at the beginning of January. We brought in the new year, chatting about how every year starts off with new goals, and it doesn't matter how you performed last year, if it was above expectations, below expectations, the following year, you always want to exceed them. And what we chatted about, we brought on John Harrington Jr., who is Director of Product Marketing here, and we talked a little bit about how technology can truly assist your teams to help make them more efficient when they're dealing with high volumes of candidates, when they're trying to fill roles as fast as possible. And in this first clip, he shares about how video helps streamline the hiring process. But don't take it from me. Here's John.
I think another really powerful aspect of it is when you intertwine it into a platform that is intended to empower talent stakeholders that are evaluating candidates, recruiters, interview stakeholders, hiring managers. You're able to see how those got completed, and you're able to prioritize which ones are available for review. You're able to see what your colleagues had to say about them. You're able to compare notes and share your insights and inputs. And you're able to arrive at the decision about who to schedule that interview with faster and get on the same page without having to bring everyone together on a call. You're able to do it all from a platform, and it makes it that much more easy to communicate, collaborate, and arrive at a decision.
I love what John had to say there. And the one thing that I will add to it is, let's say you are sitting down, at your laptop, you get served up a YouTube ad. Maybe you're in front of the TV, you get served up a traditional ad, and it's a movie trailer, right? And it is Avatar 654 or whatever movie it is. And you say, this movie looks awesome. When you go to tell a loved one, a friend, a family member about it, what's the first thing that you do? You probably pull up the trailer and show them so that they can see it firsthand. Why is it that when we are going through the hiring process, when folks are comfortable in front of a camera, self-recording themselves, why do we try and explain who this person is? Why do we give them a written write-up? Why not have them just show who they are with a video assessment? It speeds up the process. They get to gather their own data and insights from a video, as crazy as that sounds, and it helps them make better decisions, especially if they are in a crunch to review a candidate maybe moments before an interview or even hours before an interview, and they can immediately have that, and it is top of mind. They can put a name with a face, an experience with a face or a tone of voice, and continue to move forward in the process. So it's certainly something that is helping out recruitment teams all across the globe. The next thing that he talks about is speed. And of course, we all know that when someone applies for a job, typically they want to hear back as soon as possible. A lot of that is done through automation. We have emails that say out that says, "Thank you, you're being considered." This is all great. But when a candidate gets that, they're used to that at this point. The next thing that they do is they probably continue their job hunt. They look for the next best opportunity that they can find. This is where AI scheduling comes into play, where you can immediately assess a candidate and send out some dates and times for them to self-select when works best for them, just like you would when you're going out for a dinner reservation with OpenTable. So in this clip, John talks about streamlining the screening and scheduling processes with automation.
People have commitments, they're double booked, triple booked, and this happens very frequently. But by the same token, you can go on LinkedIn and you can read about the experience the candidates are having when they know they're being considered for a role and how long it can take. You know, I've been waiting this long, or I've had to do this many interviews, or I don't know what the next step looks like for me. And, you know, it's all about making sure that you can make that process a lot more smooth, a lot more seamless, and set expectations and really follow through on them. And that's where automation comes into play. You've got an automated process for interview scheduling, and all of a sudden that cumbersome, time-consuming manual effort that recruiters undertake to find the right time to engage with candidates when they're evaluating them for candidacy for the role they're hiring for, make it go so much faster, and also acknowledging that those same candidates are looking for roles at other companies. And if you can get that interview booked faster, you can come to decisions faster and get the news in front of them, you know, at a much faster clip and reduce your time to hire.
We all want to be as fast as possible. I run almost every single day, and every day I am trying to beat my time. This can be applied to all aspects of life. You typically want to be faster. You want to have dinner on the table quicker. You want to find your next role faster. You want to get your next promotion faster. Why not leverage some automation to make that happen? I'm going to take a brief pause there just to refresh anyone who may be joining. Today, we are running a special promotion. We are 48 days away from I Am Phenom. And today, if you comment in the comment section, you are able to win not one, but 2 free tickets. You can see it on the bottom ticker. This is like SportsCenter. I love it. Moving right along, the second episode that we had was with Kevin Blinko, who is a product marketing manager and communication specialist. And we talked about the video assessments process. We talked about how it has evolved over the year. Video assessments is not something that's new. There was an episode of Talent Experience Live at this point almost 2 years ago where we chatted about how video assessments would kill the cover letter. In this clip, Kevin shares how video assessments have evolved over the past few years.
Video assessments is something that we've had for a while. Sebastian's been on. We've been talking about it for a while. We do have some new features that are exciting. Hiring managers can introduce the assessment through video, recorded video of themselves. They can introduce questions through recorded videos of themselves. As I mentioned, we have more expansive options for screening. So there's written questions and multiple choice. We have hiring status integration with our ATS, new languages, revamped mobile app. So there's a lot of cool things. And at this point, sorry to keep going, but
no, keep going.
We've conducted over 150,000 assessments at this point. So there's a lot of lessons we've learned just in terms of the use cases and how it can help companies.
150,000 assessments available on mobile as well. I was watching a podcast yesterday on LinkedIn talking about how not many websites are optimized for mobile. At one point, it was always, but now we're seeing less and less of it. The ability to have access to something from your mobile device when you're on the go, especially for frontline workers, is ever so important. And I can talk about it. I can talk about how important it is for video assessments, but Kevin's going to share some of the benefits that come along with video assessments in the hiring process.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saving time on the kind of mundane tasks, not to say that phone screens aren't important, connecting the candidates is, connecting with people is really what recruiting and talent acquisition is all about. But if you can kind of move away from those mundane tasks, you can focus on more strategic things, aligning with hiring managers and hiring teams on what kind of candidates are looking for, are the candidates you're sourcing so far, are those the right people? And kind of like digging into those top candidates more easily through video.
Yeah, Kevin's sharing there how I think both artificial intelligence, video assessments, using technology is never going to replace the recruiter. It is an ever so important role. You have to love talking to people. And if somebody told you you're not going to get to do that anymore, you'd probably lose a lot of recruiters. So there is a healthy combination. And I think really what he's stressing is how you can move from just being a phone screener or an interviewer and become that talent advisor and build a relationship with somebody who may be a silver medalist candidate, who is the first person you reach out to when a role reopens, or maybe isn't the best fit for this particular role. As we know in the industry, most people, when they apply for new jobs, they're looking to take that next step in their career. They may not be qualified just yet, but building that relationship with your candidate pool is only going to help grow that candidate pool over time. If you can have that talent advisor like conversation and share, hey, this role I don't think is right for you right now. We do have this role open if you'd like to be submitted there, or we can resurface this conversation in 2-3 months when you've been able to add some of those skills. So that goes a long way for everyone involved. But don't take it from me. In the next episode, we actually had Greg Chandler, who is Senior Manager of Executive Recruitment, and he talks a little bit more about how AI complements that human element of recruiting.
The AI, really, I view it as a complement to the human element. It's really helping to take that, again, those mundane tasks, and allows the recruiter to really reinvest that time into really focusing on that human element. So if we have all that time that I don't have to schedule all those interviews anymore, I can really be more precise in when I follow up with them, what we talk about, and again, going back to worrying about the details of how my interaction is going to impact that candidate experience, and just making sure we're staying on top of that versus having to worry about when we're going to get them scheduled with the hiring manager, or are their calendars going to align.
I talk about it in that episode, how scheduling in today's day and age has become a nightmare. I think with the move to hybrid work, there are so many benefits that we could go on endlessly about. But one of the downfalls of them is some of those impromptu conversations that we used to be able to just spin around and ask somebody who sits next to us, who sits behind us, conversations that happen at the water cooler or at the coffee station. Those all happen. But what it does is it bogs down our calendars a little bit, because we are sending out Zoom invites, we are sending out team invites, we are hopping on to Google Meet, and it really creates kind of a scheduling game of Tetris. That's not something that you want it to provide within the candidate experience. A candidate wants to be top of mind. They want to be the most important person in the journey. So as we move forward with this technology, John Harrington, who joined us again for this episode, was able to share some additional benefits that come to the candidate from leveraging an AI scheduling tool.
And so we've actually done some data analysis based on customers that have adopted, used, and started to derive benefits from their use of AI scheduling. And we're seeing that tens of thousands of hours are being saved, not just because of the combination of those things being working in conjunction with one another, literally independently from the use of AI scheduling on its own. Tens of thousands of hours, and the majority of interviews are being scheduled within an hour, more than 50% across many customers that we've evaluated across a diverse range of industries. Then you look at, okay, 24 hours. How many of them? Most of them have already been scheduled. So you're seeing that people are not only getting these fed to them as options to commit to, but they're accepting them. So the lack of need for a human to communicate, request availability, send out a manual notification and an invite, make sure everyone's RSVP'd for it. Those I'm listing on one hand. I'm almost on my second hand, all the things that someone needs to do just to have one interview scheduled. That's all taken care of.
Now, we put the horse in front of the carriage a little bit. That was our next clip that we are going to get into it. But I want to call out some of the comments before we unpack that clip. Kat says, the building relationship process is why she loves being a recruiter. She's a big fan of focusing on strategic things and making the process efficient. I agree. Sally chimes in as well with, excuse me, sorry, I was pulling up on the screen. She does think that is a downside of remote work, is not having those casual interactions and opportunities to meet colleagues. Sally, I think you're absolutely right. We talk about company culture. We scream it from the mountaintops. The company culture a lot of times is those impromptu conversations. They're not necessarily meetings that are scheduling. It's getting to know people, which is, I think, really the main part of recruiting, is getting to know a candidate, getting to feel confident that they're able to really deliver those roles and responsibilities that are on the job description, as well as be a good team fit, be able to evolve their career, be able to offer a different perspective than everyone else who's on the organization. When we talk about diversity of thought, our organizations that are more diverse are able to really have better revenue, have more innovation, everything along those lines. We've talked about it a tremendous amount over the past 2 or 3 years. And I think a lot of that comes from some of those impromptu meetings. So if your recruitment team can save some time, John mentioned in that clip that recruitment teams are having interviews scheduled within an hour. I can tell you that I've spent multiple hours in a past life as a recruiter trying to find time on folks' calendar, or having meetings pop up and having to reschedule. Being able to automate that and have a candidate really hop into a software and say, hey, I know that I have a Thursday full of meetings. Friday is going to be a better day for me. Let me see what's available Friday, rather than having emails go back and forth, than playing phone tag, which is a nightmare because nobody checks their voicemail anymore at all, ever. So really going back, and even it saves some of that potentially pitfall of texting a candidate back and forth from your mobile device if you can do it all automated. Now, John talked a tremendous amount about numbers there, about the number of hours that are saved. Within 24 hours, almost 90% of interviews are scheduled. That's fantastic. That's helping the candidate move through the process faster. But how else is it helping the candidate? And John explains here.
Candidates, you hear about it every day. I'm in an interview process. It's encumbering me with lots of meetings. I don't even know what the next step looks like. What you're doing is you're being very cognizant of their time, their preference to move fast, their understanding around communication. Where are we going next? And what role do I play? You're giving them a very good experience without any friction. So they're feeling satisfied as they go through the steps in the process to determine, who am I interviewing with? Why am I in the room? Who am I speaking with? At what time? There's no ambiguity. It's very well known. So they walk out of the experience feeling like it went very fast, very efficient.
The one thing that I want to call out there that John mentioned is knowing who's on the interview. Oftentimes within the recruitment process, a calendar block will be put on someone's time and they'll wait for a second to add all of the decision makers. Having that up front and understanding who's available when and who you are going to meet with, and not having any last second changes, is so advantageous for the candidate, because you can hop on YouTube, interview tips, all sorts of things. It's researching who you're interviewing with, what their experience is. And one of my favorite questions for a candidate to ask a recruiter is, why did you choose XYZ company? Why do you love working here? And asking, I saw you had experience in this industry. How were you able to apply that to this company that I'm applying for? If you get those questions from a candidate and they're able to prepare, you have a good candidate on your hands. They care about the role. That they care about how they present themselves, and preparation is key for that. I see a bunch of people are pouring in the comment sections. I absolutely love to see it. You may be asking yourself, why? And that is because if you comment on anything at all, anything that is said here today, if you have any questions that I can answer for you, or we can get to some of these speakers, feel free to hop in there. And if you comment, you are entered to win 2 free I Am Phenom tickets. But moving right along, this episode isn't about I Am Phenom. It is about recruiter efficiency. And the next episode that we are going to share some clips from was my favorite episode, because it was with Bradley Cooper. And no, I'm not talking about the movie star. I'm talking about someone far more important. Bradley Cooper, the director of information information technology at SASR Workforce Solutions, which is a unique staffing agency. I loved this conversation because I come from a background in staffing. I'm actually marrying into the staffing world. I love it so much. And what he shared was really how SASR has evolved over the years. He shared his process of how he got into the recruitment industry. But one thing that I don't think we talk about enough from a recruitment perspective is the impact that you have on the communities where you are recruiting. You are providing livelihood for people. You are helping 1 billion people find the right job. And in this clip, Bradley shares a little bit about why he loves working in this industry and how they are helping communities at SASR.
What I see at SASR is, 1.4 million hours of work last year that we did throughout the United States during COVID. Once again, 1 million hours, 1.2 million. That is all payroll that goes back into a local community. That's not just individual SASR employees that we're paying to do great work. They're investing in their communities by spending that hard-earned wage into their community. So the way I see it is we're making a U.S. impact because we're mainly U.S., but some of our vendor partners are international. So I like to think we're making a global impact. And when you work in something that you do, you see the power, the positive impact, the power of work through the people that you work with. It's just easy to get up and do it every day.
I loved that conversation with Bradley. One thing that I will add is that his four-legged friends hopped in at one point, and it brightened my day to see a dog jump up in the background, and that he was able to join us, even though he was, out in a hotel room. So definitely check out that full episode. One thing that he touches on is calendar sync. Now, I know we've been talking about AI scheduling and everything along those lines. And you may be thinking to yourself, Devin, there are free technologies out there that I can use to make this happen. Why would I want it to be in a holistic, intelligent talent experience? And Bradley shares in this why it is so important for the calendar sync to sync along with the recruiter experience as a whole, why it is important to have all of your technology interconnect. And let's hear from Bradley.
I think I mentioned that, we used an outside booking tool where we kind of had, it was centralized. The recruiter manager was trying to, manage, track all that stuff. So on the recruiter side, now, easily able to see, one, it's integrated with our 365 account. So, you don't have to maintain multiple Outlook calendar and then another calendar. It's all right there in what you work in every day. If say we as a company decide to have a company meeting, or even their recruiting manager wants to get a 11 o'clock huddle on a Friday, put it on the calendar. It syncs with Phenom. It syncs with the candidate experience.
No, he's absolutely right. You never know when those meetings are going to pop up on the calendar. I can tell you right now, we have an employee event going on here, and I can't imagine what our recruitment team's calendars look like when you have a full day full of meetings and things like that, when the top priority at the end of the day is to get candidates into your pipeline, is to get them into the building, is to get that fresh talent where you can help your organization innovate. You have to make a tough decision, which is, should I attend this team meeting, which is going to help me, which is going to share what my top priorities are, or should I work on those top priorities and really interview with this candidate? When you have a calendar sync that syncs with everyone, you don't have to worry about that. And of course, this helps speed the process along. It also provides a little bit of personalization, right? Because you're adjusting to someone's particular calendar. They get to self-select. They don't have to make any tough decisions of, oh, I have a doctor's appointment, or, oh, I know my boss is, typically looking at my little green light on Slack at this time. It's probably not a good time for me to hop on an interview. So there's a lot of personalization and tactics with it. Bradley, in this next clip, kind of unpacks how SASR evaluates personalization along with speed for them, because they are dealing with a high volume of candidates, but also just mass blasting out messaging is not their approach. They find it doesn't work successfully for them. So in this, he talks about how to really manage personalization and speed.
The personalization is key, both from being able to have what you need as an applicant or a candidate at your fingertips the way you want it. But it's also about having that conversation with, somebody in the organization that can help you along. But at the same time, speed is very vital to us as an organization because, one, we're looking to fill the roles for our clients. But two, a lot of times for the employees, they're the type of staffing that we do. It's a lifestyle. It's mobile first. Most of the folks that are applying using a mobile device, not a computer. They don't have resumes handy or ready. If they do, some of the higher level more skilled positions will, but for example, like a general merchandiser, they're looking for work and they're looking for it today. They're not looking to go through a multi-step interview process, things like that.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. The speed is going to be efficient, and it really varies on role, right? At the end of the day, sometimes it is a frontline position that, quite frankly, your business can't afford to have no one in. I think in that episode, Bradley talks about grocery stores. He talks about different, big box retail locations where if they don't have enough employees, they can't open the store, right? That is a challenge. And if they do open the store, they may be pulling people from the bakery department to check people out at the cash register. They're not going to want to stay there. So there is a healthy combination of speed and personalization to fill all roles. One company that knows a tremendous amount about this is our next guest that we had on, which was actually just last week. I chatted with Darren Averill, who is head of global talent acquisition and strategy at Circle K. This episode, oddly enough, fell on Groundhog's Day, and we chatted a lot around the repetitive nature of the recruiting process and how some of those monotonous tasks can really discourage teams. We talk about burnout. We talked a lot about burnout in 2020, and it seems that as things have begun to get back to normal, if you will, we have kind of subsided that conversation, but it hasn't gone away. It's not a new topic. So in this episode, we chatted a lot about how to really remove those repetitive tasks and how to still hire a high volume of folks in a short period of time. In this clip, he's going to chat about developing an automated strategy to really identify top candidates. That way, recruiters aren't making 1,000 phone calls a day. It's finding that top pool of candidates and saying, all right, these are the candidates I am focusing on today to fill this role. And I know that they are going to be a great fit. So let's hear from Darren.
And, in certain situations where we struggle to find those talents in certain stores, particularly like in overnights, we'd turn that automation on at the store level on a case-by-case basis. And then if a candidate is qualified as the strongest match candidate based on the criteria we've built, we can generate an offer based on that computer screening, basically skipping the interview, skipping the meet and greet with the store manager and say, hey, you're a top candidate. You're probably going to get hired someone else. If we wait a day or two to pursue you, we're going to offer you a job right now. And then even more so than that, it's layering and self-scheduling.
I loved what Darren was saying there with the self-scheduling, but also he talked a little bit about the overnight position. And I want to imagine that you are responsible for an organization or a store that is open 24 hours a day. To find that overnight shift is going to be a challenge, right? You know that whoever is applying to that job is probably up at the wee hours of the morning looking for roles, especially if they're discouraged in their current position. So being able to assess them on the fly. Now, I don't think that this is for a position that requires, someone to be very proficient in Excel or have an accounting background or something along those lines, but somebody who is a great candidate, and you don't want to miss them. When we think about some of these, frontline workers in C stores, I know from my experience throughout college and throughout early in my professional career, when I wanted to get a job, I would walk into a restaurant, I would walk into a store, and I would meet with the hiring manager. And sometimes, not all the time, I would get offered that position on the spot. When you think of global organizations like Circle K who have to compete with that talent, if the process is even 3 days long, you may lose out on that talent. So in this next clip, Darren talks about how he uses automation to really stay competitive on a global scale.
Yeah, we definitely have two verticals in our talent acquisition. We have our store level frontline worker where we need a lot more automation and efficiencies. And then on the, let's call it non-store, the support center or office side, we need more AI to help match candidates to roles and take advantage of our pool of candidates. So we're using CRM services to do candidate matching on the non-store side, and that's super helpful on identifying the right talent for the right roles based on skill matches and just their profile.
One thing that Darren didn't mention there is when you are dealing with a variety of different candidates, the ability to sort through them to find who you are looking for in a quick process is going to be vital. I know from my days as a recruiter, even some of the simplest searches would take my ATS at the time 15 minutes to filter through. Darren's recruiters don't have that kind of time, right? They are constantly on the phone trying to fill that next role because it is Groundhog's Day, right? He referred to the high volume nature of the business. So being able to find exactly who you are looking for in maybe a corporate role versus somebody who you are looking for with the same name in a frontline role is going to be important. And the other thing is the candidate application process, which Bradley talked about in the previous episode, is also vital at Circle K as well. And he talks about how they leveraged text to apply to really bolster their recruiting process because a lot of his candidates are on the go and a lot of his candidates may not have access to a desktop computer. So having a mobile friendly apply process, yes, is important, but also how do you get to them quickly? And in this clip, he talks about the recruiting process.
Yeah, the very fact that we have 80% of people applying on mobile means you have to take someone from a store where we're advertising now hiring, right? You see that in all retail shops. And the reason why you still see store signs advertising jobs is because they still work. Yeah. We get, roughly 35-36% of candidate flow from store signs. The question is, how do you get someone from a store sign to an online application so that you're getting their information? Used to be they go into the store, they get a paper app, they fill it out in the store and give it to you. Now that we've shifted to online, we needed to make it very simple for them. So we advertise a text apply number and a QR code that does both. It'll take them either to the SMS text apply or to our career site chat feature so that they can start engaging with an AI bot that helps them find a job that's relevant for them and gets them started on their application.
Paper applications, certainly not something that is environmentally friendly and not something that anybody wants to do anymore. That episode was one of my favorites, along with the one with Bradley. No disrespect to Kevin or John in the previous episodes, but I loved those conversations. It's always exciting chatting with users of different platforms who are on the front lines trying to recruit, because I know it is a challenging job. And also I know I was no good at it. So I like to talk to people who were good at it. Speaking of which, we have some winners for the 2 I Am Phenom tickets. We have Michelle Hall and Andrea who have won. I am going to send you a LinkedIn message following this. I'm going to eat some lunch first, maybe grab some water. But I promise I will get to you today with your free codes. Thank you so much for joining. As I mentioned, this whole season was around recruiter efficiency. And it's certainly a topic that will be covered at I Am Phenom on March 28th through the 30th. So Michelle and Andrea, I can't wait to see you there. I am excited to send you the tickets. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I hope everyone who chimed in the comment section about the big game this weekend, I won't call it what we all want to call it, but about the big game, a special shout out to everyone else who commented. We're going to be giving out free tickets from now until the event. So tune in next week, the following week, and I promise that we will give you a chance to win. And I hope everyone enjoys their Sunday as well as the rest of their weekend. I'm still trying to make a push to have the Monday after the Super Bowl be a national holiday. If you're with me, let's start a petition. But in the meantime, have a great Thursday, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.